Different man, same situation. He starts off warm, attentive, full of promise, and then slowly, or sometimes not so slowly, he pulls back. He becomes hard to reach, emotionally distant, half in, half out, available when it suits him and absent when you actually need him. And you are left in the same place you have been before, confused, trying to figure out what you did wrong, wondering why this keeps happening to you. And maybe you have told yourself, I just have bad luck with men. Maybe all the good ones are taken. Maybe there is something about me that attracts this type. That last thought is the closest to the truth, but it is not what you think it means. It is not that something is wrong with you. It is that something inside you has been set to a frequency that unavailable men can feel. And until you understand what that frequency is and where it came from, you will keep tuning into the same signal no matter how many times you change the station. The first thing people say is, you just need to choose better, be more selective, stop falling for the wrong type, as if you are deliberately walking into every bad relationship with your eyes open, choosing the unavailable man off a shelf of perfectly good options. But that is not how attraction works. You do not choose who you feel drawn to through logic. You feel drawn to who is familiar, to who feels like something your nervous system already recognizes. And if what your nervous system learned to recognize as love early in life, long before you were dating, came with distance, inconsistency, or emotional unavailability, then distance, inconsistency, and emotional unavailability will feel like home. Not because you are broken, not because you are weak, but because familiarity is powerful. The brain does not choose what feels good, it chooses what feels known. This is why you can meet a man who is warm, consistent, and emotionally present and feel almost nothing, and meet a man who is distant and hard to read and feel immediately, intensely pulled toward him. It is not chemistry, it is pattern recognition. And until you recognize the pattern, you are not choosing. You are being chosen by your history. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The pattern almost always starts before the relationship. It starts in the first place you ever learned what love looks like. If you grew up in an environment where love was inconsistent, where affection was given and then withdrawn, where you had to earn attention, where the people who were supposed to make you feel secure sometimes made you feel uncertain instead, your brain filed all of that away as what love is, not what love should be, what it is. And then you grew up, and you started dating, and your brain went looking for what it already knows. It scanned every room for the feeling it recognizes, and when it found someone who triggered that familiar feeling, the slight uncertainty, the need to try a little harder, the warmth that came and went, it said yes. This one. This feels right. It did not feel right because it was right. It felt right because it felt familiar. And for a lot of people, those two things have never been the same. Let me show you what this pattern actually looks like in your real life, because sometimes it is hiding in places you have not thought to look. The first sign: you are more attracted to potential than to reality. You meet someone and within weeks you are already seeing who he could be, not who he actually is right now. You see the intelligence, the charm, the glimpses of depth, and you start investing in that version, the one that does not exist yet, the one you believe you can help him become. So you stay, you pour in, you encourage and support and wait, and the potential stays exactly that potential, because you cannot love someone into readiness. And the moment you are more interested in who someone could become than in who they actually are, you have already left reality. And unavailable men live in the gap between who they are and who you imagine they could be. The second sign: you feel most connected to someone when things are uncertain. When things are going well and he is present and warm, you feel comfortable but not particularly excited. But the moment he pulls back, the moment there is distance or uncertainty, suddenly your feelings intensify. You think about him more. You want him more. You feel more pulled toward him. That is not love deepening. That is anxiety activating. And if uncertainty is what makes you feel the most alive in a relationship, you will unconsciously seek out people who keep you in that state. because without the uncertainty, the feeling you have confused with love disappears. The third sign, you work harder to keep his attention than he works to keep yours. You are the one initiating more, planning more, giving more, making more effort to keep the connection alive. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you know the balance is off, but you tell yourself that is just how you love, that you are naturally a giver. But here is the question worth asking. Is the man who is fully available to you the one who reaches out first, who makes plans, who does not make you chase him? Does he excite you the same way? If the answer is no, then it is not that you are a natural giver. It is that you are most comfortable in a dynamic where you are working for the relationship. Because working for it feels like the love is real. Having it feel easy makes you wonder if something is wrong. So what do you actually do with this? Because knowing the pattern is one thing, breaking it is something different. The first step is the hardest one. You have to be willing to feel uncomfortable on purpose. The next time someone shows up who feels immediately, intensely exciting, pause. Ask yourself honestly, is this excitement or is this familiarity? Is he pulling me toward him or is he just activating a pattern I already know? And the next time someone shows up who feels a little too steady, a little too consistent, a little too easy, do not leave immediately. Stay a little longer than feels natural. Give it more time than the pattern says to. Because what feels boring at the start of a healthy relationship is simply the absence of anxiety. And you can learn to tell the difference between quiet and empty. The pattern breaks when you stop letting familiarity make your decisions, when you start choosing from what is actually good for you instead of from what feels known. That shift does not happen overnight, but it starts with one choice. One moment of pausing long enough to ask, is this the pattern, or is this actually right? Bad luck is when something happens to you. A pattern is something that keeps happening through you, and patterns can change, but only once you stop calling them luck. If something in this video just clicked for you, if you recognized your own pattern in what I described today, I want you to hold on to that. Not with shame, with honesty. Because seeing a pattern clearly is the only thing that gives you the power to change it. If this gave you something real today, hit the like button right now. It tells me to keep making videos like this, the ones that go past the surface and tell you what is actually happening. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week I bring you the honest, uncomfortable truths about relationships and human psychology that most people are too afraid to say. You deserve to hear them. I want you here. And drop a comment below. Tell me honestly, do you recognize any of those 3 signs in yourself? Which one hit closest to home? I read every single comment on this channel. Say it here. You are not alone in this.